And what's up, everybody? Do It Right Tech Tips coming back here today with another video. And yes, after some long troubleshooting and working on this build, the Dell Vostro 410 here is in complete and amazing functionality despite its previous conditions that you could see in the last video. So we've upgraded quite a few bits and pieces in here. I was also able to find some mounting grommets. I believe that's what you call them. There it is. To mount this in the board right here to make sure that this thing doesn't come out. They just simply screw in there because they're missing. So we've got those bits. That is extremely good because before I wasn't able to have any and it would just sit there. Of course it would still latch in, but hey, we got those missing pieces, so that's good. I was actually able to pull these bits off of just off of a Dell Vostro 220S, which I have, which is a sort of a build that I'm not really going to do much. I'm just going to use it as sort of a scrap build and pull parts off of it for other builds because that's basically what you can do with it, only it's not worth upgrading. You can look it up on the internet. It's a quite compact computer and there's no point in upgrading it because it still runs the same architecture as a Core 2 Duo, and you cannot upgrade it to a Core 2 Quad without replacing the motherboard, and I just thought there's no point. So anyways, back to this boy. This is a literal beast. Now, you might see if I did the editing correctly, you may see the before pictures of what was in here, and now you will see the after picture. So, here we go, and boom! Let me just set that down here. Alright, so here is our brand new, I'll call it brand new, basically, Dell Vostro 410. I am super happy with the results that came through this thing. This thing has gotten a complete makeover from what we had at last. We upgraded this card to a lovely, beautiful GeForce GTX 960, 4 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM, VRAM, and that's lovely. Even though it is still running DDR2, we are still able to get this to 8 gigabytes. So Dell Vostro 410 users, it may say on Dell's website that you can only get it up to 4 gigabytes of RAM. That is absolutely not true. You can get it up to 8 gigabytes 100% of the way. It was just because they were trying to promote their higher end-up line of the XPS lineup to say that they can get 8 gigabytes of RAM in their XPS lineup, just so you could pay more, because, I don't know, it's just marketing scams. Not scams, but marketing schemes, I should say. So up here we replaced our yucky Chinese manufactured power supply to a lovely EVGA 500 watt 80 plus, so it's a great 500 watt 80 plus. It's not modular, but nothing fancy, but luckily this case for us has a lot of cable management ability on the back here, which I'm not going to pull off for you, but it looks very nice just from what you can see here. I could have gone with some black SATA connectors, but since this doesn't have a glass panel or a synthetic panel on the front, a see-through panel, there's no point in going through it because there's no really aesthetic reason to go with it. We replaced the case fan and the CPU fan with both Thermaltake case and CPU fans because what was happening was they were a bit loud, and I want the new user to never have problems with this computer's whatsoever. So whether it be the fan, as simple as the fan, or the CPU, or the graphics card, or even the power supply, which turns out what was having the problem with. Whatever is the problem happening, that this is 100% refurbished and looking spanking beautiful. So the point is, we got a nice, lovely MSI. I admit this is used, but I got it in such great condition. The guy said that you barely used it for a couple months, and I mean, you can tell because there's barely any dust in the heat sink underneath these ginormous fans, which I did take off the heat sink and reapply some thermal paste just to get the best thermal conductivity on this boy. Under the hood here, You may be wondering what's under here. This is a Q9650 board. I mean, CPU, excuse me, CPU. It's running at 3 gigahertz because this Dell Vostro 410 LGA 775 board is not compatible with overclocking because, as you know, Dells are notorious for not being able to support overclocking because their BIOS is locked. But enough about that. If you want me to go into that in a deeper video, I can go into that later. But what this spec is, it's a Core 2 quad, so it has 4 cores, 4 threads. It doesn't have hyper-threading, but it has speed step technology, which is, I don't know, I haven't had a lot of experience with it, but it's pretty decent. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's the best CPU that this can that supports this motherboard here. I even talked to Dell. Kudos to Dell for actually helping me with me with this project, because I was thinking that they would not assist me with figuring out what parts actually are compatible with this build, and it turns out that all the parts that I got were compatible, and kudos to them for helping me out with making sure that these parts were compatible on like a, what is this, a 2008, so it's like a 10-year-old PC. So really good job on them. Sometimes their technical support's not that good, but really good job with them in the technical support team. So great job. Under the hood here, we have a 1 terabyte 7200 RPM hard drive, just by Seagate, nothing special. That was what was in here in the first place. And then we have from our sloppy drives, let me just zoom in here, from our sloppy drives that were mounted right in there, if you can tell, right there. One was just literally taped in the bottom of it, so nothing that special. But what was in here was an 80 gig SSD. It was really chung. It was a Drevo 80 gig SSD. We tossed that out. I mean, we didn't toss it out. We still have it in here, but just in this mount. And then as well as we have a nice, lovely Samsung 860 EVO 256 gigabyte. So this thing is loaded with all sorts of things, mostly because, I don't know, you can store stuff on it. But yeah, I mean, that's really it. We didn't upgrade the anything else. Everything was beautiful. So really amazing job. I'm quite happy with the results. So now we'll go into the benchmarking, and I'll show you the benchmarks. So we'll see you right there. Alright, so we are back. I just got it all plugged in and wired in. So we are going to turn it on and see how she does. So 3, 2, 1. Oh, there's a reason, guys, why I turn on the power supply button there. There we go. Alright, 3, 2, 1. And boom. There she goes. I don't know if you can hear her. She beeps. That's the sign of the BIOS registering, and the CMOS showing that it's all registered and good. Let's change our input value quick, because we have it on HDMI, not DisplayPort. That's what I run my Mac Mini on. I'll be making a video on the Mac Mini too. So this thing boots up quite fast. So there she is. She's already in. I cannot believe how fast that is. Guys, think of this. This is a 10-year-old, almost 11-year-old computer made in 2008. It is 11 years old now. That's insane. So really, guys, it just shows how an old computer can be revived to such a great standards. Now, I could be showing you on a recording software, but this is just easier for me because I don't want to install a lot of things on here, because this again is not my computer. But if I can open up Task Manager here, gotta turn on my mouse. One sec. There we go. Alright, so Task Manager. We'll go to Task Manager, and man, the sensitivity's on this is so high. So as you can see here, we are running an Intel Core 2 quad. That can focus in on that. Yes, there you go. Intel Core 2 quad CPU, Q9650 at 3 gigahertz. Barely using it, 2%, 3%. and it's just asleep. Like this thing is legit amazing. It's got 12 megabytes of cache, absolutely beautiful. Even today in 2019, this thing is holding up, considering this is like a 2010 or 2011 or something CPU. So that's absolutely amazing. Even if let's open up our, let's see here, our CPU ID hardware monitor, and we got our temperatures. This thing does like to run hot, which is why I replaced the fan. As you can see, we're running, that's our average one right there. So that's our live update one right now. So it's about, that's quite decent actually right now, but it'll get pretty warm. I think its rating around is like, I know maximum it draws 95 watts of power, but getting up, sometimes it'll get up to 65 degrees Celsius, which is a little bit hot for it. So that's why I put on a nice GABA heat sink paste and everything, and should be running quite decent. So we'll minimize all that. Actually, we'll run a stress test first. So let's run a CPU ID stress test. I like to call it Cupid because why not? Yep, as you can see, it's a Yorkfield Core 2 Quad. Max TDP is 95 watts. So it's looking all good, amazing here. So nothing's bad is blowing up here just after installing all this stuff. So yep. Oh, it's a 950, yes. So it's a good 950. So we'll just go back to our CPU. I mean bench the CPU. So let's just stress it actually. So we're stressing the CPU. Get about 94. As you can see here, our thing is about just hanging around the 90s. Well, let's look at our power draw for fun of it, eh? So CPU is 90. It's not that bad. Let's see here. Can we do? It should be showing power usage. Yeah. So here power usage is very high because this CPU is a sucker of power. 95 watts. It's quite a lot considering a PC that I built a couple months ago had a Ryzen 5 2600X. That maximum power draw is like 65 watts. It's insane how amazing that they've gotten these. So we'll stop stressing the CPU. But as you can see, it's warmed up quite a bit. We're running about, come on, 55, 56, 60. So you see what I mean? It gets quite hot. So that's just showing you there. And then I will start up Cinebench, and I will show you its score. So I will be right back. Alright, so as you can see, I downloaded Cinebench, and we are currently running its thing. So we'll see how she does, and well, we'll see how she does. So I'll get back to you once it's done, and for now, just stay cool and stay calm, and be right back. Alright, so just finishing up it, and we will see what we get. Alright, so we get a measly 711. So we are right above the other Core 2 Quad, and right below, right above actually the Core i5, and right below the other Core i5. So by no means this is a heavy multitasking machine. I 100% agree with you. By no means this is a heavy multitasking machine. Just by showing signs that agreeably it does have to work to get where it needs to go. But I'm quite happy with what we've gotten, and for just only, I mean, just only $180 the total was. Just looking at my thing, that is insane for what we got this for. $180, bring this thing back to life. In fact, the most expensive part on this was the SSD. Now that is just absolutely crazy. But after seeing this, I'm quite satisfied with it. This will run Office things beautifully. It will run Word, Excel, PowerPoint, which is what it's going to be used for, absolutely stunningly. So I can see that for some people, this may not fulfill their needs. As a gaming computer, yes, it could qualify as a gaming computer, actually. On medium settings, it runs Fortnite at around 102 FPS. And on high settings, it runs at around 55. So, it really depends. Of course, get out of here. Of course, you can pay a little bit more and upgrade the graphics card, but then you might be bottlenecking with the CPU. So, other than that, as you can see the specs here, we'll just go to System. You can see the specs here. We got Windows 10 Pro, because it was running Windows 8.1 Pro, Professional. So, we have it at 3 gigahertz clock speed, 8 gigabytes of RAM, so that's very good. So I'm quite happy with what we got here. I'm quite satisfied on this build. I feel a little bit bad that we couldn't overclock the CPU by any means. If I was looking at something to overclock, I would get a used Asus or MSI or ASRock board off of eBay and throw it in there. But by no means I would go over $35 on this, just because it's not really worth it. I mean, you might squeeze another 0.5 gigahertz out of this processor and bring it up to a nice 3.5 gigahertz of stability. But you might not. It might not really affect it. So that's all I gotta say for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. And I will see you in the next one. Hopefully talking about this lovely Mac Mini that I got here. So stay tuned for that. I'll be doing some benchmarks and why it is one of the best Macs to buy, desktop Macs to buy in 2019. So I will see you in the next one. And remember to like and subscribe the video. And as always, stay awesome and stay cool. And be safe. Goodbye.